Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about personal pronouns. Now, what are personal pronouns? And how do we use them in different tenses? That is what we're going to be looking at in this lesson. But before we begin the lesson, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up if you find it useful. Thank you. Now, let us begin. Personal pronouns are words that are actually very, very important in English. And they include the following: I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. So all these are personal pronouns. 8 of them. Now, personal pronouns take different verb forms in different tenses. Let us look at the examples. The pronoun I in the present tense or simple present tense. I eat mangoes. I eat mangoes. So in the present tense, when you use I as your personal pronoun, the verb remains in its original form. That is the first verb form, the base form of the verb, eat. I eat mangoes. In the past tense, it becomes ate. I ate mangoes, because eat is an irregular verb. So it becomes ate. I ate mangoes. Now, in the present perfect tense, it becomes I have eaten mangoes. So when you choose the pronoun I in the present perfect tense, you have to combine it with have. I have. And that is always I have. You can never say I has. No. I in the present perfect tense, you always combine it with have. And then eaten, which is the third form of the verb. So eat is the first form of the verb, ate is the second form of the verb, and eaten is the third form of the verb. So eaten, you simply add en, and that is because eat is an irregular verb. So it becomes eaten. I have eaten mangoes. Now, what happens in the past perfect tense? Then it becomes I had eaten mangoes. Now, fortunately, whenever it does not matter which personal pronoun you choose, in the past perfect tense, you always add had to it. I had eaten mangoes. But when it comes to the present perfect tense, be careful, because you either have to use have or has. But with I, it is always have. So in the past perfect tense, it is I had eaten. And this time, had eaten. Eaten is the third form of the verb. In the present tense, I takes the first form of the verb, that is eat. In the past tense, it takes the second form of the verb, which is ate. In the present perfect tense, it takes the third form of the verb, which is eaten. And in the past perfect tense, it takes the third form of the verb, which is eaten. Let's look at the next personal pronoun, you. In the present tense, it is you cook delicious food. So the verb cook is in its original form, in the base form or in the first form, cook. So when you choose to use the personal pronoun you, in the present tense, the verb does not change. It remains the same, just like I. In the past tense, that is yesterday, you cooked delicious food. So what happens there? We add ed to the verb. We add ed to the verb cook, and it becomes cooked, because cook is a regular verb. Remember, a regular verb is a verb which in the past tense or in the present perfect tense or in the past perfect tense, you simply add ed. You cooked delicious food. In the present perfect tense, it becomes you have cooked delicious food. So you combines with have, just like I, and that is always. In the present perfect tense, you always speak of you have, never you has. That is not correct English. You have, and then the verb cook, and then you add ed. You have cooked, have cooked. In the past perfect tense, you takes had, you had cooked delicious food. So once more, remember what I said. In the past perfect tense, all the pronouns take had. Okay, you had, and then cooked, cook, past tense, cooked. So you simply add ed. Okay. What about the next pronoun, he? This one is a bit different. He plays football. You never say he play football. No, because in the present tense, he takes the verb with an S. So you always combine the verb with an S when you use the personal pronoun he. He plays football. You add an S. With I, it is I play. With you, it is you play. But he, you must add an S. He plays football. In the past tense, you simply add ed to the verb play, because play is a regular verb. So it becomes he played football. In the present perfect tense, it becomes he has played football. Now that is also different. Whenever you choose the pronoun he in the present perfect tense, you have to use it with has. He has played football. You can never say he have played football. That is not correct. You only use have with the pronoun you and with the pronoun I in the present perfect tense. Okay? And then in the past perfect tense, as usual, you just combine it with had and the verb plus ed. Okay, he had played football. Now, the next personal pronoun is she. In the present tense, it is she dances every morning. So, just like he, when it comes to the present tense, we must add an S after the verb. She dances every morning. If you choose to use the personal pronoun she, you must add an S after the verb dance in the present tense. You can never say she dances every morning. That is not correct. In the past tense, it becomes she danced every morning. So this is pretty simple. You just add ed to the verb dance. Dance. You just add your d. And this is because dance is a regular verb. So yesterday, she danced. In the present perfect tense, once more, just like he, you have to combine she with has, and then the verb in the past tense, which is danced. She has danced every morning. So we can never say she have danced every morning. That is not correct English. You only combine have with the personal pronoun I or you in the present perfect tense, okay? So she has danced every morning. In the past perfect tense, it's very simple. You just combine the personal pronoun she with had and then the verb in the past tense. She had danced every morning. Let us move on to the next personal pronoun, and that is it. It rains daily. Again, just like with he and she, in the present tense, you combine the personal pronoun it with the verb and then you add an S. It rains daily. You can never say it rain daily. No, that is not correct English. In the past tense, it's very simple. You just add ed to the verb. It rained daily. Because rain is a regular verb. So you simply add ed to the end of the verb. In the present perfect tense, it becomes it has rained daily. It has rained daily. So once more, we combine the personal pronoun it with has in the present perfect tense, just like we did with she and with he. And then you combine that with the verb and then you add ed to the end of the verb. It has rained daily. In the past perfect tense, it's pretty simple. Just add had and then the verb plus ed. It had rained daily. The next personal pronoun is we. We pray before eating. Now, we, when you combine it with a verb in the present tense, then the verb must be in its original form. It must be in the first form, in the base form. You don't add anything. We pray before eating. Just like with the personal pronoun I and you leave the verb as it is. That is in the present tense. We pray before eating. But in the past tense, you have to add ed at the end of the verb pray. We prayed before eating. And in the present perfect tense, you use have. We have prayed before eating. So in the present perfect tense, we always combine the personal pronoun we with have. We can never say we has. That is not correct English. We have prayed before eating. We can never say we has prayed before eating. That is not correct because the personal pronoun we always combines with have in the present perfect tense. That is a permanent rule. It does not change. And in the past perfect tense, it is we had prayed before eating. Again, it's very easy. You simply combine the personal pronoun with had and then the verb and then you add ed. Okay? The next personal pronoun is you. You sleep early. Again, when you combine that personal pronoun with a verb in the present tense, you don't change the verb at all. It stays the same. Sleep in its first form, in its original form, in its base form. It does not change. You slept early. That's the past tense. Now, sleep becomes slept because sleep is an irregular verb. Okay? Because sleep is an irregular verb, it becomes slept. We can't add ed at the end of the verb sleep. That is not correct English. You have to change the verb to the correct verb form, which is slept. Okay? And then in the present perfect tense, it becomes you have slept. So again, we combine the personal pronoun you with have in the present perfect tense. That is a permanent rule. You can never say you has slept early. No, that is not correct English. You have slept early. And then in the past perfect tense, you had slept early. Again, you combine it with had and the correct form of the verb, which is a third form, and that is slept, because sleep is an irregular verb. I would recommend that you study irregular verbs so that you know when you're changing verbs from the present to the past tense, to the present perfect tense, to the past perfect tense, you know exactly how to write it when it is an irregular verb. Now, finally, we have the personal pronoun they. In the present tense, it is they live in Paris. So once more, when you choose the personal pronoun they in the present tense, you combine it with the verb and the verb must remain in its original form. It must remain in the first form or in the base form. You don't change it at all. And that is a permanent rule. They live in Paris. You can never say they lives in Paris. No, that is not correct English. Now, in the past tense, it becomes they lived in Paris. So, because live is a regular verb, you just add d. They lived in Paris. In the present perfect tense, it becomes they have lived in Paris. So they combines with have plus the verb in the past tense. And it becomes they have lived in Paris. You can never say they has lived in Paris. No, because they always combines with have in the present perfect tense. And in the past perfect tense, it's very simple. It's they plus had plus the verb in the past tense. Okay? They had lived in Paris. And this brings me to the end of this lesson. I hope you now know all the personal pronouns. They include I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. Okay? And I hope you now know which personal pronoun goes with which verb and how you change the verb depending on the different tenses. Remember, I, you, it, we, you and they, those personal pronouns do not change. The verbs do not change in the present tense. They remain the same in the first form, but the pronouns she, he, and it, in the present tense, you have to add an S. Okay? And in the present perfect tense, remember, you use have with the pronouns I, you, okay, and we. And with the rest of them, you use has, okay? Now, this brings me to the end of the lesson. If you have learned something new, if you found this lesson useful and informative, just do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. That will really encourage me to continue uploading videos to help you improve your level of English. Have you subscribed? Thank you, and see you in our next lesson. Bye bye, and take really good care of yourself.